Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun scroll saw project video, I have a nice design picked out by Steve Good to celebrate Thanksgiving. Now Thanksgiving draws ever closer to where we will all gather with our families and fellowship together and share past memories and probably get updated photos of everyone. And there's going to be a great meal to celebrate. Of course, the turkey, the ham, the stuff, and all the fixings that goes with a traditional Thanksgiving meal. So really neat. The pattern I'm going to show you in question is a very old Steve Good design, and it's part of a pattern pack. And the pattern that I've printed out to is full size, depicts the famous saying, Happy Thanksgiving. It's got some nice font there, and in the pack that Steve offers also has some other sayings like this, like Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, stuff like that, holiday sayings, you know, like that. And the appropriate one to pick out for Thanksgiving is, of course, Happy Thanksgiving. And I really like how in the design that the G bleeds down into what will be the base of this. So really neat. The material I've picked out for this I got from the free scrap bin up at the hardwood store in Gibsonville, North Carolina, and it was very rough cut when I got it, and I ran it through my thickness planer several times to get it down to around 3/8 inch of thickness here. And I do not know this wood species, but I love the grain of it. It's very light, it's not very dense. It ran through the thickness planer extremely smoothly, but it has this swirly grain pattern in it that I really like. Now we're going to cut the project out of this and hopefully also get a base out of the same piece here, to where we'll have the whole project out of this one piece here that I salvaged out of the scrap bin. But if any of the experts out there know what kind of material this is, please let me know, because I really love that grain texture, and I think if I could get this in thicker material, it would make some nice keychains, you know, with the grain popping in it and all, as well as other scroll saw projects. But since we need to cut this material to size and get the pattern attached so we can start scrolling, let's move the camera and do that now. And over here at the workbench, I'm going to take my straight edge to cut the bottom of the pattern and then finish cutting it out with the scissors, and I will temporarily attach it to our material along that straight edge. And then we will step over to the bandsaw and cut the piece to size to where it's more manageable over on the scroll saw. And I was happy to see that I indeed had enough left over of the same material to make the base out of. But now back over at the workbench, we're going to finish attaching the pattern with clear packing tape. That's all that'll be needed for the project. And then we'll drill out all of the pilot holes with my Seiko scroller's drill, using a backer board behind the material to prevent blowout of the pilot holes on the reverse side. And over here at the scroll saw, we are using number 5 ultra reverse tooth blades for all of the scrolling on the project, and they are cutting through the material exceptionally well with minimal chip out, which is always good when it comes to sanding and finishing later on in the video. If you guys would like to try this pattern, it's available as a free pattern download over at Steve Good's scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com website over in his free pattern catalog. And keep in mind, it's one of his older designs that's part of a pattern pack. Doing some of the more small and tedious interior cuts here, and there is some of those sharp V curves in the script here and the font that Steve Good offers. And you guys know I will go down one side of a V cut and back the blade out and go down the other side to achieve as sharp as a point as I can possibly get in the letters. But I'm just going through here as always and taking my time and letting the blade do the work. And again, I do not know what material this is, but it is scrolling exceptionally well, so I was pleased with that. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my channel and also follow me across all my social medias under the Artisan Pirate name. I truly appreciate the support. Doing the final and biggest internal cut here, and now we can retension the blade once all of the V cuts here are achieved, and do the final long outside cut. Thanksgiving has always been one of my favorite holiday traditions because it's where the whole family gathers under one roof, and we usually go to my aunt's place and we just enjoy a home-cooked meal. The turkey, the stuffing, the gravy, the potatoes, the whole 9 yards. It's always a great meal and just a great time to relax and spend time with your family and loved ones. And if you made this project out of thicker material than I am cutting out here, it could totally freestand on its own accord. But since I had enough of the material we're cutting left out, I did want to make a base. But after following the outside cut line, all of the scroll work here is complete. And we can go over to the workbench and carefully remove the piece from the waste wood. And I will quickly jot down the size I want the base to be. And then we can step over to the table saw and we can rip it down and then cut it to size. And then back over at the workbench, I'm taking a washer to draw circles on all 4 corners, or half circles, just to add a little character to the base. And we will step over to the belt sander and sand down to those circle lines. And we'll do this on all 4 corners. And then we can take both the base and the scroll work over to sanding with 180 grit cling spore sandpaper in the palm sander here. And I'll slightly round over the top side with the sander here of the base. But now we can glue it to the base, and I will use medium grade CA glue and activator. And I set it aside and let it to dry for around 5 minutes to make sure that the CA glue was dry and cured. But then I decided to stain the piece, and we're using Minwax wood stain here, and this is the golden pecan shade of stain. But after everything was saturated, we wiped off all of the excess with a scrap piece of t-shirt material, and I hung it on a hook above the wood stove to dry, and it dried around 45 minutes, and then it was time to add clear coat. And my go-to finish is Rust-Oleum clear gloss, and after giving it several coats and that dried, the project was complete.
And here we have the completed Happy Thanksgiving piece, cut out primarily on the scroll saw with the base being cut out over on the table saw, and it finished up amazingly well. Thank you, Steve Good, for another fantastic pattern from your pattern catalog. Once again, if anyone would want to attempt this project, it's one of Steve's older patterns from way back when, and it's part of a pattern pack with multiple designs in the pack that you download, so just keep that in mind. It took me around 35 minutes over on the scroll saw to scroll everything out from start to finish. It's not an overly complicated pattern, it's just a lot of the tight V-turns in it to make the letters look nice, and I love the font that Steve Good used here. And you guys know how I go about doing those tight V-turns. I will follow the scroll saw line with the blade into one side and back it back out while the scroll saw is still running, and then go up the other side to create as tight of a V point as I can to make sure the letters and designs look nice and crisp, and everything came out great. I took my time and let the blade do the work. I love how Steve added the G's going down into the base here, and keep in mind that this was cut out of around 3/8 inch material that I had milled down, and if you would cut just the scroll work out of 3/4 inch thick or even 1 inch thick material, it could easily freestand of its own accord without needing a base. We just had the material on hand to make the base, and I wanted to make a base for it just because of how thin this material is, and so it wouldn't be wobbly or teeter-totter wherever it was placed. But now with a base on it, it can freely stand on a desk, shelf, or countertop, and this will probably ultimately end up going to my aunt. We always go to my aunt's for the Thanksgiving meal. All of the family gathers under one roof, and it's a meal that I really look forward to, because even though we get together, you know, throughout the year for birthdays and events and anniversaries and all that, this is the one time where we really all get together. You know, not everybody can get together and make it to every event, but Thanksgiving is the one meal where we all surely get together, and I always look forward to it, spending time with my loved ones, and of course having a great home cooked meal. But really, really cool. And once again, I do not know what kind of material this is. I do know it scrolled exceptionally well over on the scroll saw with minimal chip out, and that's always good when it comes to sanding and the finishing procedure. And it took the Minwax wood stain and Rust-Oleum clear gloss amazingly well, and it still finished up nice. Really, really cool. I hope you had fun in this video, and I hope you guys like watching me make this project. If you're new here, please subscribe to the channel and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as to all of my social medias will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.